Dave, welcome to the podcast. It looks like you've made some adjustments to your mask. What's going on there?
Well, I'm
What did
crying
you
on the
try?
outside
What
and
did
the
you try
inside.
to do? What did you try to do to that hole?
Well, I have a cat who thinks it's fun to eat bags and cardboard.
Oh,
So I can't even keep a loser hat, a Kevin hat, in one piece.
it looks like you're kind of crying.
I think I am. I
Okay.
think I have a lot to cry about.
Well, welcome to the podcast. A couple years ago, you told me, "Hey, don't do the whole podcast with that on. It's distracting." So go ahead. You're fine, Dave. Take it off. I mean, things will be better.
Yeah, well, they
Hey,
can't be worse.
yeah. Hey,
I'm in last place. There is no
let's
13th.
there's not. Let's shift our focus onto something more positive. A team that's doing well, like maybe one that you would want to give an award to.
Well, this might seem a little odd because a doing well is not what this team has been, doing most
Known
of the
for?
season. But I went up and down, the list. I could have given it to a few different people, but not that it took a lot to get this victory. But
Yep.
the Sundance Kid eked out a 71.2 to 66.3 to get his second win of the season and catapult him out of the cellar.
Hey,
You know?
congratulations,
Yeah.
Brennan.
I mean, I think he's been a hillbilly a couple times, or at least in the running most
Yeah.
weeks. So, I just feel like sometimes it's
You
the
want to
bear.
you want to reward progress.
I do. I do. He's not in last place anymore. Somebody else is. I'm not sure who, but somebody is. So
Well,
good
yeah,
job, Brennan.
let's not dwell on that, right?
You know,
Well, it's funny. Again, I'm sure that our audience out there, the thousands and thousands that watch this on a weekly basis, they probably think that we have a production team and that we have like pre-show meetings and we talk about all this. But it's just crazy how this works out because we didn't talk beforehand, but the hillbilly of the week is in the same exact matchup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the reason for that is because if Junior would have only scored 71.3 points, he would have really had a chance to because 2 weeks ago he was in the hospital, he lost, but he scored in the 90s, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
scored well. It came nip and tuck, came down to Monday Night Football against him and Rennie. Rennie ended up being victorious, but like it was really close. Then last week he did great, right? And we were
Yeah.
just, it's like, man, Junior without an appendix is just, playing so much better. And so then this
That
week,
appendix was holding him back.
yeah. And then this week, I mean, anytime you get negative 0.8 from your quarterback,
Is that what it was?
yeah, then that just kind of,
You start Watson, you almost deserve to get that.
yeah, you get what. And I had put out on the chat, I said, Junior, did you think about starting Ford before he got hurt? But he
Yeah.
was doing so good. He got 15 points. I mean, that would have made the difference if he played him instead of Eckler. Had he played anyone outside of Watson, then that would have been a huge win for him. But when your opponent scores 71 points.
And I mean,
And you're trying to get yourself into playoff potential, you know what I mean? Then
he would
that's a
be at
hillbilly.
3-4. He'd be right there with between probably Rennie and Lee. Like he would have been right in the thick of things.
Yeah. I mean, because you and I talked about this offline, and I mean, Lee, I love you. This is if somebody's going to come up and steal the 8 spot, it's going to be because Lee continues to spiral. Now, you said there's a bunch of teams that only got 3 wins, so a lot can happen between now and the end of it. But it just feels like there's such a separation between the bottom 4 and just how their season's been going.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody but Lee. Now, Lee started out great. 3-0, but he's lost 4 straight. And so, like, that
Yeah,
just
if
seems
there's
like if somebody's going to take a spot, and you and I think it's probably Brian, but it could be anybody.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. Like, even though they have the same record, in light of what's happened the last few weeks, it just does seem like Lee's struggling and Rennie isn't, even though they have the same record. And Ratty was like, it wasn't that long ago. I thought he was top 4 and he's going to stay there,
Yeah. Yeah.
with the Tua and Hill combination, but he's just keeps playing the wrong people
Yeah.
and getting beat.
But again, and I didn't text you back when we were kind of having this conversation offline about just how teams were doing. So I guess we do have a little bit of a production meeting, not an official one, but we were just talking
Through text.
fantasy in general. Yeah, through text. I didn't respond to that. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Rennie and Ratty because of their quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I just think that more times than not, those guys are probably going to get you more points than the team you're going up against. You know what I mean? So, which brings me to a fun little experiment. You and I, we're going to do this. You got no prep for it, so I'll probably have to feed you some information.
I had 5 minutes of prep. That's plenty.
Yeah. We're going to redraft the first round. Okay. We're at the midway point. We are 7 weeks in. We got 7 weeks left. We're going to look down. You and I will do it together and see. We have to give that person. We're going to come to a caveat here in a second, but for the most part, we're going to try to stick with giving that person the same position. So if they drafted a wide receiver, so if they drafted a wide receiver, we would consider giving a wide receiver. Well, we can do that, and then we can talk about what you came up with too. So
all right.
we can do that. But so let's begin with Lee. He took Justin Jefferson. Even without the injury, there's other options out there.
I mean, without the injury, I don't think I don't know that we make a change.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't, but with the injury and the fact that he went wide receiver, I'm going to say that he would, because he had even mentioned it. If anybody was listening at the draft, he was like, I'm really thinking about taking, and he said Hill. And so he's the number 1 ranked wide receiver. I think that if Lee wanted a wide receiver and he wanted the best available wide receiver right now, given everything we know 7 weeks in, he takes Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, I wasn't thinking the same position thing. We didn't really talk about that. So I would have just jumped McCaffrey to the top.
You would have taken McCaffrey at the top.
Well, I think if you know what happens the first, up till now, and you're picking based on that, I mean, the amount of touches he's getting, the amount of touchdowns he's getting, I think, and the fact that he was up for number 1 anyway, it wouldn't have been a surprise to pick him. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say McCaffrey if you're not going by position.
Yeah. So number 2 was me. I picked Jamar Chase. Here's the funny thing about Chase. I've got 7 guys listed, top 7 wide receivers right now. He's not even in the top 7. He may not be in the top 10. I don't even know because
he's had a bye week.
He's had a bye week. Yep. But Andy had a cold start. So so given that information, I would be tempted to take Diggs because he's the 2nd ranked wide receiver in football right now. What's your thought?
Well, since I had McCaffrey first, I had Hill 2nd. So I would have you take I'd have you taking Hill instead of Chase.
Man, if Lee would have taken CMC and I would have got Hill with a 2nd pick, that would have been good. Here's the crazy thing to think about is that I wanted Jefferson, and I thought that there was no way in the world that Lee was going to take Jefferson with his first pick. I thought that he would go a different direction. Lee just seems like a change of pace kind of guy. Everybody was projecting Jefferson to go first. I just thought Lee would go prototypical. So I had the choice in the draft selection to pick where I wanted to be.
You did.
And I picked 2nd because I thought nobody's going to take Jefferson first. And worst case scenario, I get Chase if, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get a higher pick going into the second round. So I did it to myself, but so in your scenario, Travis gets hosed. In mine, he doesn't. In mine, Travis still gets Christian McCaffrey because if we stick to the positions where they're picked, but in your new world where anybody can pick
Well,
whatever position they want,
you might find this odd, but I'd still have him taking Chase because he's still top 10. He had a rough start, and the Bengals the last couple years have gotten better and better, and a good chance that his best days are ahead. So I have him taking Chase. I feel like knowing what we know, and the next people the names that we're going to say are maybe a touch on more unproven.
yeah. Yeah, so that brings us to Ratty. If he were going to take a wide receiver, then he would take Brown because he's the third ranked as far as points go wide receiver. We got some injuries that I'm taking people that are on the IR off of this right now. So he ends up with Brown. What's your call for Ratty if you're
I
going?
have Mostert all the way up there.
He is the second ranked running back,
Yeah.
and he has been unstoppable. And
it didn't hurt that he had that a Kane guy come and go.
Yeah.
And now he's back to being the lead back
Just
again. So I mean
think
again,
about
he's pretty unproven.
Think about how many points Mostert has, and then there were like 3 games where a Kane had like a ton of points.
Exactly.
I mean, think about how many more he would have if they wouldn't have done that whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I had.
All right, so we got number 5 for you. I got you taking Mostert if we stick with the position that you drafted, but this is fun for you. If you got to redraft the first round,
I mean, based on what we know and what people have done, which is what we talked about, I would take ETN, your guy.
You can't have him. I picked him in the second round.
Well, this is the first round.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's on a team that he's getting a lot of touches, he's getting a lot of touchdowns. He's,
Isn't that interesting that
I know.
That somebody picked that anybody could have had in the first round?
Yeah.
And most guys, if you thought anybody who would be thinking to themselves, you know what, I think I'd really like to get a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
He was there for anybody. They just, you know what I mean? So, all right. That brings us to Rennie. Rennie went running back. In my scenario, he gets ETN because of, running back. But in your scenario,
in my scenario, Diggs is still there.
Yeah.
So
because you didn't go that way. So yeah.
Yeah. So I would have him take Diggs.
And I'm sure if everything played out and he still had Allen as quarterback, that Rennie would love to have Diggs.
Yeah. Yeah, that
especially considering that Barkley's not even a top 10.
Yeah. And New York's a mess and
Yeah. All right. Andy got Devontae Adams, and as well as Andy is playing, that's a place where you gotta say that's a miss, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's
better wide receivers.
There's people that have been playing better.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's left in your scenario.
So in my world, he gets more.
Okay. So in mine, AJ Brown's still available.
Okay. So, and they're just one person apart. I mean, their scores are pretty close to each other. Now here's the interesting one.
Yeah.
Lee. Ed takes Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Who is the number 1 ranked tight end.
Yeah.
But he doesn't keep him.
Yeah.
He trades him away.
For magic beans, right?
For magic beans.
And boy, have they been magic.
So here's the crazy thing. what would Ed do? I
Yeah.
can't
I
even
don't.
I can't even say, because in my world he takes a tight end. If I give him a tight end, he keeps Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
But in your world where it doesn't matter what position, who do you give him?
This is the only spot that doesn't change.
You give him
Yep.
Travis Kelce,
Yeah.
even though he trades him away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to? Do you want to hear some? I don't even like talking about this. Okay, so verse taking the guys out that are on IR now. And we got bye weeks in there. That this is just based on total points. This isn't based on average. Okay, this is position rank. Hill, Diggs, Brown, Moore, Keenan Allen, Nakua. Okay, who I picked up off the waivers.
Yeah.
That's 6. Do you want to know who the number 7 wide receiver is?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It is Adam Thielen,
Okay.
who Ed has on his team now.
And he doesn't even always have he doesn't even have a place for him sometimes.
Who I drafted. But here's the funny thing. I don't even know that I would play him.
Yeah.
I mean, numbers would tell you that I should.
Yeah.
But would I play him? I mean, on most weeks, I dropped him, right? And I picked up Nakua for him. So at the end of the day, win, right? But I probably should have kept him, right? I mean,
yeah, you probably should.
Yeah, but Ed. So Ed has 2 top 10 wide receivers on his team. Neither one of them he drafted.
That's clean living right there.
One he got in a trade, and one he got off the waivers.
Yeah. Magic Bean came to life.
All right. So Adam takes Stephon Diggs. So in my world, he gets, are we at Keenan Allen or?
Probably, yeah.
That's probably who he gets
mainly
in my
because
world.
of because I've tried to go by realistic. Like, even though he's got, more point. I mean, in no world is anybody picking Puka Nakua in the first round,
Right.
So, but somebody might have said, hey, Keenan's going to have a good year. Herbert's going to be a great quarterback. That there's a world where that could have existed. So yeah, I'd say Keenan gets it because he's more proven. That's where you would go.
All right. Well,
but I wouldn't have been stuck with a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And so I would have had him take, Pachinko, just because of Kansas City.
Yeah.
And lots of he's like, I mean, I didn't, obviously the way I drafted, I thought it would be more of a rotating amount of running backs, and McKinnon would be in there a ton more, and it hasn't happened. I mean, he gets all the looks, he gets receiving yards, he gets
he's number 6 on the running back list, and I'm sure that if you could,
they're not going to stop scoring.
Yeah, I mean, if Adam had wide receivers are not Adam's weakness, and so not getting Diggs, I mean, he loves having Diggs on his team. He's stacked at wide receiver, but if having the chance to have Pacheco on his team, I'm sure that, you know what I mean, it would have been a good consolation gift for him.
Yeah.
Brennan took Derrick Henry, who's at the very Lamb. That's Heimdall. That's Brian. Brian took CeeDee Lamb, who is not on my wide receiver short list.
You have to go. You have to go pretty far down to.
Yeah. So I would have him taking Nakua, but who would you have him taking?
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker. That's good. So you skipped over Moss. Why is that?
I skipped over who?
The running back for Indianapolis.
Oh, Moss. Yeah. Because, I mean, knowing what we know
because
now.
Because unrealistic?
No, because I wouldn't draft him over knowing that Taylor's back.
Because you
asked me 2 weeks ago.
Long term. Yeah.
I mean, I would not pick. I mean, Walker's, he gets all the reps, he gets touchdowns, he gets, Moss is there. There's 2 of them now that are getting the ball, and
his value is waning.
Yes,
so I get that.
And not that Taylor couldn't get hurt again, and
right,
but right in this second, I'd take Walker over Moss, just even though he has less points.
Yeah. So Brennan took Derrick Henry, and so in my world, in my world, he gets Pacheco because Pacheco comes after Walker, but you
Okay.
already gave him away. So who does he get
I
as
haven't
a run
taken Swift
with? Okay. He's Robinson
on a
is actually in between
yeah, but
Pacheco and
Swift's
Swift
on
on the
a
list.
better offense. You
Yeah.
know,
You think
the
there's more long
the
term
only,
value for him.
the only thing, knowing what I know, the only thing about Swift is how many more touchdowns would he have if the whatever you want to call it, the brotherly shove, the tush push, if that didn't exist
Yeah.
and they handed it off even half the
Now,
time.
is that illegal in college, or it used to be
I
illegal in the pros, pushing a player
Yeah, I
across
don't
the line?
think. Yeah, I thought it. I mean, at some point, I think it was. I mean, the crazy thing is on the offensive side of the ball, obviously you're allowed to do that, but on the defensive side of the ball, you're not allowed to use your own guy to get higher to try to block a kick or something.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
They did away with the
They
defense because of injuries,
injuries. Yeah.
possibly.
But they're
But
they're going to do away with this too.
yeah,
The competition committee is going to say that there's a better chance for a guy to get his knee blown out or
yeah,
to get
and
something.
it's not necessarily the running back that's going to get hurt or the quarterback that's going to get hurt. It's the linemen that are getting
Yeah.
pushed by somebody else.
Right.
Directions they don't know that are good, their legs are going to move. So yeah, I'd say, I mean, Swift would have at least 3 or 4 more touchdowns if they would norm. I mean, yeah, they're going to do some quarterback sneaks, but if they know they can't do the pushing thing, then you don't do that every time because they're
Man,
not sneaking
when they
anything.
went for
Those are
it
not quarterback
on
sneaks.
when they
Everybody
went
knows
for
what's
it on
going
a
to happen.
yard and a half, it is to the point. Number one, because Philadelphia's coach, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
He's so smug. And number two, I just love, like, when you go for it on fourth down when it's not my team, there's nothing better than just seeing you get, like, when they went for it on their own 30, like, I would have just loved to see
Yeah.
them just get hit in the mouth and not make it. And I'd
I
just
mean,
be like,
the fact that they do it at any part of the field is one thing, but how have they been on the 1 yard line so many times? How many times have the Bengals been on the 1 yard line? Maybe once.
yeah.
You know?
All right. Well, Junior picked Garrett Wilson. I mean, I'm not saying that that's where his troubles began. I mean, it's a good start when you
Well,
pick.
and you could flip flop his 12-13 and say Eckler has not been the answer either.
No.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, when you get 2 first-round picks basically,
And neither one of
and
them are
neither
top
one of them
10.
hit, yeah. So with me, he gets. It's crazy to say he gets Adam Thielen in my world.
Okay.
Which there's no universe would Adam Thielen been on anybody's radar as a first round pick. I mean, I can't even remember what round I picked him in. It was like
Okay.
after 9, I think.
Yeah.
So who do you got him taking?
So in my world, I actually have Junior taking an appendix.
Okay.
Now, in mine, Keenan Allen's still available.
In your world, Keenan Allen's still available. So first round, we had one tight end taken by Ed, and that's fine. It's worked out just fine for him. Any scenario when you were considering this that anybody decided to reach for a quarterback in the first round? Because
I looked at that and I just don't think the points are there. Like the point differential between Allen and Mahomes and then other people are going to make up the difference of these guys, what they've done.
But if Junior had so much fun last year posting Josh Allen memes, and if he looked at his 12th and 13th pick and seen that neither one of those guys ended up doing anything, aren't you tempted to say, you know what, let me just go get the quarterback I want?
Yeah.
In the first or second round, knowing that I control both of those picks and just being done with it?
No, I think there's, and I wouldn't surprise me one bit if next year, I mean, out of 12 people, somebody's like, you know what, I ain't messing around with this whole quarterback thing. I'm going to get who I want to root for, who I think is going to do good. And and then because I don't want to risk somebody deciding to do
Well,
it in the second round.
don't you feel like more now than ever? I mean, there used to be years where like I would look at the guys that were on waivers, quarterbacks, and be like, I can pick up a 20-point scoring quarterback, and,
Yeah.
and you still can. But figuring out who that guy
Exactly.
is really, really tough. I mean, you look at the list of the guys that are on waivers right now that play quarterback, it is
It
tough.
is. Oh, believe me.
And you look at the guys that other people are starting. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, whoever I started the Washington Commanders quarterback this past week,
Yeah.
and he had done fine up until then, but he stunk it up.
I mean, there's this is how precarious it is that there's a good chance, maybe not in our league, but possibly somebody picks up and starts Sam Darnold
Yeah.
for 49ers because
49ers.
Purdy might be hurt against the Bengals. I mean, and he might score 20. I mean, look what Geno did last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you never. But I feel like more than ever, there's only like 6 or 8 like legit quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What'd you think of my list on the posting of week 7 waiver?
Well, it reminded me of a side bet we did.
Oh, really?
You remember that? Remember that? We did a side bet 2 years ago. My team was so bad. I said, can you put together a free agent team that can beat my team?
Oh, yeah.
And nobody was able to
We had to submit it before the game started.
Yeah, you had to submit it before the game started. You got to pick anybody you wanted. After Thursday morning, once the waivers had passed.
Yeah.
Anybody who was left at that point, you could put together a team to see if they could beat my team.
So
imagine. nobody was able to do it. But there wasn't a 150-point team out there like there was this past week. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I feel because I think I scored like in the 80s or 90s that week, and nobody was able to put one together. I mean, dude, I would have been blown out of the water.
Yeah, I mean,
my regular team would have been blown out of the water.
I mean, how humbling is it that you could have just not started your entire starting roster, picked up all these guys, and scored 150?
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you hope, though, Dave.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder why you're not picking up more guys off the waivers. Well,
the problem is when you look at the waivers, you don't see those points as possibilities.
No. ESPN's not projecting those guys to score 25
Minshew to get
points.
30 and 3 different receivers to get like 12 and 14. It's like, now kickers and defense, like Bears getting 19, like
that happens.
The Bears, like they've been, I mean, and kickers getting 14. Any kicker anytime could kick a bunch of field goals or not. It's like but running backs having 2 guys down there that got 14 points or whatever, that I'd love that.
Yeah, I mean, you like to know for the health of the league that there are guys out there on the waivers that you could pick up and start in a spot that are going to get you points, but knowing who those guys are going to be is super tough. Like, every week there's a tight end that outscores any tight end that I play, and I've tried them and they don't work. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But
they never do it twice. It was funny. I was watching, before the games, they have those DraftKings bets, and they were like talking about different ones, and the guy was like, "Hey, mine is that. What's the Chargers tight end? Is it Garrett Everett or
Gerald Everett or something?
Maybe something like that. Yeah. Everett. They were like, my prop bet is that he gets his second touch, scores another touchdown. It'd be 2 weeks in a row. He hadn't scored a touchdown yet. Last week, 2 weeks ago, was his first touchdown, and by golly, he did it. You know what I mean? He scored a touchdown, and like he was somebody that kind of wavers around in that place where you're like, should I pick him up? Like he's on a really good team. Like, and you're like, why hasn't he scored more touchdowns? You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, he got that second one, but he got like 30 yards in a score. Well, it's still 9 points. You know what I mean? It's more points than I ever get from a tight end.
Yeah. Because if you don't get that touchdown and you get 5 catches for 40 yards. That 4 points doesn't do much for you.
Yeah.
But it does. I mean, I just kind of, you can't just look at your team and be like, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do. Because obviously
Yeah.
last week proved that, not that you would pick all those guys, but even if you pick 2 of them, it could have changed your outcome. It would have for Junior.
Anybody who lost, who would blame it on 1 or 2 players, had the chance to go pick up somebody that probably would have drastically improved their chance of winning.
There was a good score in every position and several multiples.
Now, it probably wouldn't have helped you against Rennie,
No,
67 to 101.
Yeah.
Unless you would have picked up every single one of those guys and played them.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was it was just another week of, I mean, I don't even know what to think of the Bijan Robinson gate. Right? Like, you see his coach is coming out and like he's like, I don't see the problem with it. I mean, I don't have to tell the other team how many carries I'm going to give, Algier and Patterson and all this stuff. Should I have to start telling them how many carries everybody's? That's not the point. The point is betting is married to the NFL and they have rules in place because of betting. That's the only reason they have IR lists and you have to give designations and all that kind of stuff. It's not for their health, So to withhold the fact that he had a headache and he wasn't going to play,
but he did play. He got a carry.
So yeah, at the end, the last drive, I had, not that anybody cares, but I had like some dumb parlay where, if he wouldn't have got a touch, he would have been voided and I still would have got I hit all the other 4. Yeah. And I would have got like, $20, $25 or something. But instead, he gets 1 carry for 3 yards. So he doesn't get 90 yards or whatever I had him picked. And so I lose. Now they came and they gave everybody a free bet on top of whatever, else.
Because they're saying that this coach, like.
Yeah. But still, I would rather have the money than the free bet. So yeah, but that's just a weird, like, that was weird. At best he gets 10 points, or something. That wouldn't have changed my score at all.
Right, yeah. But you would have liked to know that he wasn't going to play.
I would have, but then I didn't really have anybody. I mean, who would I have put in? I would have put in either McKinnon or McKinnon, it looks like, is all my options. Or I would have picked up Mitchell, or I would have picked up somebody, and maybe I would have picked up one of those guys.
You would have picked up Joshua Kelly, and he would have got you 13.5 points.
And it still wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. So let's talk about
my
the biggest
optimal lineup wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. Let's talk about the big matchup. That was the one that was the Red Kingdom versus Ratty. Adam doesn't seem to believe me when I say that 11 teams were all pulling for Josh to win. That's including Josh. I mean, I could be off by a few, but it's like nobody wants to see somebody go undefeated, right?
One person probably does.
Just Adam.
That person.
Yeah. So I got to think that there's 11 other people that want to see Adam lose at some point during the season.
I mean, that's probably fair, and I don't know why Adam would think otherwise.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know Rennie doesn't want to see Adam go undefeated.
No, I mean, that's well documented.
Yeah. So, but
and I thought, man,
Adam is
going in to the last 2 games, I thought Ratty had it.
I did too. I thought this is going to set itself up for Josh to do it. That San Francisco defense was pathetic, and then the use of Madison was just, I mean, the play calling was terrible in that game. So I don't understand what happened.
I mean, I feel
Minnesota
like Minnesota
decided to look like a football team.
Hill got almost 15, but Tua only getting 13. Like, how did I don't get it. But the defense laying an egg, because that's 2 points. He should have got, at least 10 out of, against the Vikings. And like, that's not good.
Keenan Allen had an off day for him. But
going into it, all Adam had left was a kicker, and the kicker only got him 7, but that was plenty.
Yeah. Well, that 50-yarder he kicked there really just sealed it, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. But I'll say this about Adam. At the beginning of the season, we were like, oh, fluke wins. He's winning, winning these tight games or whatever. And this one was still tight, but he's only getting stronger.
Yeah, and it could, like, a lot of weeks he could have easily scored more just by picking different people. Not
Yeah.
all of us can say that, you know.
Yeah.
Like he goes with Swift over Cook, which probably is the right play based on track record, but that would have got him more points.
Yeah.
Cup has a down week, you know, but he didn't really have another option. You know, he's not going to play anybody else over Cup. So like, but yeah, I mean, even when he has a couple people, you know, not lighting up the world, he gets and Herbert, like his quarterback, he's not getting 30 and 40. Like, you know, that's
No.
not why he won.
No, he's winning one slice at a time, dude. He's just killing you.
Yeah.
So, Brian, another heartbreaker. I mean,
Well,
they don't call him Bad Beat Brian for
the
nothing.
brutal thing was, like, you know, you look at if you just looked at the matchup, you're like, oh, they each have a player left.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between a player that actually plays and a player that is
So
the
what
third
was the
running
deal
back.
there? He wasn't projected not to play, right? It's just
Well,
that
all
Christian
week,
McCaffrey.
yeah, all week they were like McCaffrey and it was a Monday game, right? So
Yeah.
he had to make a decision at some point over the weekend about whether McCaffrey was going to play and whether this guy was going to be the one that got some of the carries. In hindsight, yeah, maybe he put
He would
somebody
have
on
had to
his
drop
bench.
somebody.
Yeah, he would have. I mean, he's not dropping his first round Lamb. He's not Hopkins. Is that, you know?
Yeah.
I
Or
mean,
Hall. The only
the
thing
Bengals D maybe.
he dropped a quarter. He already dropped Love, and you know that he probably
Yeah.
didn't want to have to do that.
Or he
So
just
would have had the
drops that
Cincinnati's
guy.
defense.
You know, he drops Mason,
Yeah.
you know, and picks up somebody that is guaranteed to play even if it's not a
Yeah.
full load, you know, like a guy that's going to at least get 5 or 6 carries that might get you
Yeah.
3 or 4 points, and that's all he would have needed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
But
in
now at this
hindsight, yeah.
point,
But then how stupid would he have felt if McCaffrey gets ruled out on Monday and this guy gets 30 carries for 200 yards, and it's like, dang it. But yeah, I mean, and I don't know what any of us would have done.
well,
but yeah,
they had said some point during the game. I don't know if you heard them. They were like McCaffrey has not missed a snap yet on offense in this game.
I mean,
he
because
just doesn't come off the field.
not only did he play, like when we didn't know if he was going to play, they didn't even reduce his workload.
No,
You know,
he didn't miss a snap. I mean, he was on the field almost the entire game.
My guy got in and only got like 1 carry. You know,
Yeah.
I had the other guy to Mason that might get carries if McCaffrey's out, and that didn't work out. So it's like, yeah, so that was tough. I mean, I think Andy had, who did he have going?
Kittle.
Kittle. And, you know, Kittle plodded along and ended
just
up
got
with,
enough.
Yeah. I mean,
so yeah. We got Ed versus Flex, and this is the one little hiccup for Ed. I mean, he had been doing really well, but it wouldn't have mattered. Travis is just going to annihilate people.
And I mean, Ed was in a deep hole until, you know, late, and like then Addison and the Cousins like made it look way different. He was in the probably going to possibly score 50 thing kind of, and then they just exploded.
If Hawkinson and McCaffrey hadn't done what they'd done, and honestly, if Addison would have scored, did you see that third touchdown that he dropped?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he catches that, and then we don't get McCaffrey getting his second touch, like things get real interesting real quick. But just the way it broke, you were just asking a lot. I mean, you're asking a lot for 2 players to get 50. You know, they would have needed to get 60 combined, and then Travis to go get McCaffrey and Hawkinson to go like over. You know,
I mean, the only thing that would have made a big difference is, well, it wouldn't have made a difference, but it would have been closer if McCaffrey was ruled out, but it was after the games had already started, and he wouldn't have had time to put Hunt in.
Or if he would have played the first few drives and then just been like, I can't go. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you take those 19 points away and he still gets 100. You still need Ed to, you know, I think the problem, you know, how did the Bills not get a single defensive point against New England when other teams were getting like 20 and 30, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
all
those things, they're inexplicable.
Yeah. And we covered this one, Brennan against Junior.
Yeah.
Brennan, big win. Miller Time Team of the Week. Congratulations. Junior I mean, both these teams got 2 wins, so they're not out of it,
No,
but
no.
they're going to have to start winning real quick and hope that Lee continues to lose.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one was me against Lee, 100-70. Not my best performance, but just, I mean, in case anybody cares, that's 4 wins in a row and 4 weeks over 100 points if you're keeping score at home. So
Nobody is. Nobody cares.
nobody cares.
I did a
Okay.
survey. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, I feel like there's
Kevin,
something going on. Like I
there's
feel like that
11
people
11 teams don't care.
but I feel like there's something happening where people in the chat, people are fans that watch the podcast, they think you hate me. Like you've been saying some things in chat that are alluding to the fact that you don't think I'm funny, that you don't like me. Is there something happening? Am I like what happened?
You know, the fact that I liked the loser you better, is that what you're and I think I said this to you before, my only play right now based on my team is to try to make fun of you for hyping up your own team when you have a history of losing.
Oh, okay.
So that's my only play here. So I'm playing it to the
But
best I
don't
can
you
do.
think the fact that it happens so infrequently, I should just fully immerse myself in it?
Well, instead of acting like you've been there.
Well, I haven't been there.
That's true, but you could act like it.
Well, I could, but that would be disingenuous. Act like
yeah,
you've been there. I mean,
but look at you. You score 100 points and you get 10 from your quarterback. Like that's, you're doing something right.
well, let's take a look here, Dave. If you want to do a deep dive into it, it's because
I mean, look at all those running back points.
It's because my running backs, and for the most part, now freaking Brock Purdy and I mean, I'm now relying on Sam Darnold to get Ayuk points. And that's how bad this whole thing is going.
Yeah.
When Christian McCaffrey and Debo are both hurt, Ayuk stud.
Yeah.
Because they're just feeding the ball. And were you watching the first half of that football game?
Yeah.
Over the middle, Ayuk. Over the middle, Ayuk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they're just like, how about we just give it to McCaffrey?
I think I pointed out, I did think it was kind of funny that like you were given the update.
Yeah.
And you put yourself at 100.8 and then like seemed like an hour later.
Yeah.
You're still at 100.8.
Yeah. How does a guy that gets like 7 targets in the first quarter or whatever it was, just like disappear?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
you probably start double.
It's not like they were resting on their laurels. They needed all the yards they could get,
Yeah. So, but look, at that point, I'm just begging for a little high points action, so it's fine. Yeah. I mean, Travis, I'm sure Travis got more kids than I do. He needs the point. He needs the money. So
even if you would have started Lawrence, you would have been at 109. You still wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
Baltimore D would have gave you another 7. That would have been close.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, if I ended up at 117.8 and Travis had 118.8, you probably I would have left here and went straight to BW3s.
Yeah. I mean, but those 2 changes right there would have got you really close to that. So
yeah. So all right, well, let's take a look real quick. We got some matchups for the week. Let's start with undefeated Adam. I called this. I did a little. You see, I try to give the people what they want. I give a little preview. Give a little week 8 preview. I don't know if you saw it, and I said that Adam has a trap game. And what I mean by that is that Lee's lost 4 in a row. Adam can kind of be like, easy street here, and bam, Lee come out of nowhere and get a win. What do you think about that, Dave?
Well, all I see is the first screen where it has, granted Lee only has 8 people, but 58.6 to 110. So with one player, he's got to try to make up 50 points. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, not that ESPN is always right, but
does he have 2012 Peyton Manning to put in there?
There you go. So let's just say that if this is a trap game, there's some work to be done.
Okay. Little bit of work to be done. Yeah, gosh. ESPN sure does love him some Adam, doesn't he?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
really up and down the lineup here, you got several games where it's people that are trying to get some, desperately need a
Full
win,
lineups.
are facing people that they don't want to be facing.
Yeah. So we got I mean,
Speaking of,
hey, yeah, I mean, nothing like winning Hillbilly of the Week, scoring, what I say, he scored like
66.
66 points, and then what do you get as a reward? You get to play Flex, who, if ESPN loves anybody more than they love Adam, it's that they love Travis.
They do.
In the middle of the biggest bye week that anybody could have, because we got more teams on bye this week than any other, I think. Travis is projected to score 114. I mean, Junior's projected to score 100, but I just don't see it. So,
Are there any teams on bye?
this week? Oh, maybe it was last week. Maybe last
Yeah,
week.
last week had a 10. Yeah, I don't think that this week. I think everybody's available.
So everybody's available this week.
I think so.
Why would they do that? Why would they have a week where where nobody has a bye?
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, that I read that all
Okay. So last week there were
several.
Last week there were 6 teams on bye, I think.
Yeah. No, I don't know why they do it the way they do it, but yeah, I think this week is everybody's in.
Well, they take the buys deeper into the season too. There's teams that got buys all the way into like week 12.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't make any. I mean, it has to do with scheduling and when home games are available at certain places, and they take all that into consideration. But yeah,
Adam's throwing stuff at the TV that I don't know all this right now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so last week was the largest bye week of the season. This week, evidently, nobody's on bye.
Yeah,
I will. We'll
Junior's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah. We got Andy versus Brennan. This one, still a lot of people got some stuff to do, but I gotta like my chances with Hurts versus Stroud, and
you just wonder if Brennan, he got away with one last week, and he's gonna have to play a little better. Andy's had some ups and downs, but he's got 3 straight wins going for him, and he's got a decent team.
Oh man, but you look at Brennan's team, and you're like, man, you got Mark Andrews, C.J. Stroud's actually been playing pretty well. You got Derrick Henry, you got Murray. Watson was hyped up that this was going to be his breakout year. Godwin, but man, it just hasn't materialized for him. Where for Andy, he's just done enough. You know what I mean? Every single week. I said I've won 4 in a row. Well, guess what? Andy 1, 2, and I cannot get past him in the standings.
Exactly.
So, I don't know why I care. It's not like I'm catching Adam or Travis, but
exactly.
I just like to get as close to royalty as humanly possible. So
it's all about seeding. The higher you go, then you play one of the bottom feeders that barely get in.
Josh versus Ed.
I don't know about this one, man.
They both got full lineups, but again, this is just where, man, I can't imagine Tua having back-to-back bad games.
Yeah.
I mean, for him. But Cousins has been tearing it up.
I know, but I feel like if Green Bay does their homework and figures out that they can just shut down Addison, that it's pretty slim past him, and make him run the ball, put everybody in as a defensive back and make Madison try to beat you. That would, because in Green Bay, I think I guess I thought defense last week would be better.
Although Ed does have to pick up a kicker because his kicker got cut.
Yeah, that's something right there.
Yeah.
His kicker you missed 3 field goals and you're gone. It's a tough business, man.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at least that's a position that you can safely drop your kicker and pick somebody else up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Ed, he just keeps getting it done.
Yeah.
Other than, he had some hiccups last week, but he still ended up with 80 but yeah, I mean, obviously it means a little bit more to Ratty because he doesn't want to give any of us a chance to catch him, that are only a couple of wins away from him, 1 or 2 wins.
Is
But
it mean that I think that in the write-up I said that Flex and Andy both had buys this week? Is that mean to say?
yeah, that might be.
Okay.
But I mean,
And then I said that, okay, now you're against Brian. I said that you have a chance to win, and you didn't like that. I mean, hope's a dangerous thing. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah, I just found a funny meme, I thought. And no, I think every week I got a chance, but I got a lot of holes.
I mean, you're playing
And
against another one-win team. If you're
yeah,
gonna
no.
have a
So,
chance to win, it
well,
would be
I
this
mean,
week.
this week, if you look at it, it almost plays right into me, because you got everybody that, if I need people to lose, they're all playing people better, with better records than them. And so, even, you're playing Rennie, who if I'm going to try to catch Rennie, it helps. You have a better record. So I'm the only one, right? Yeah. I mean, Ed can take care of Ratty, who I need to keep losing if I'm going to ever pass him. So every situation
Yeah,
is,
you would want Adam to beat Lee because you want Lee to continue to fall.
I mean, if I'm trying to catch anybody, I'm
Yeah,
the only matchup where the records are the same.
yeah, and you can get yourself out of the basement.
I could, but I write this second, it's David Carr or who? I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know who. Yeah, there could be a Minshew from last week that might score 30, but I don't know who it's gonna. I mean, I look up and down.
yeah,
I've looked at it 30 times in the last 2 days. Every quarterback, I've looked at all their game history, and I don't. I mean, and then I'm like, wait a minute, is Sam Darnold the answer? I'm like, I can't imagine that being the right play. So I mean, then I look at David Carr's stats over the last 2 games, and over the last 2 games, he's thrown the ball more than any in 2 weeks in a row, more than any New Orleans quarterback has ever done. And remember this guy named Drew Brees that used to throw the ball a lot?
yeah,
So that tells you something, that nobody's thrown the ball the last 2 weeks more than David Carr has. So if that continues, at least I got a chance.
yeah. All right, that brings us to me versus Rennie. This one on paper is super close,
Yeah.
101 to 103. May have some lineup tinkering on Rennie's side, or I may not decide to start 7 people from Jacksonville. We'll see. But right now, looks to be close. Rennie has the dreaded twofer here. He's got his best player playing on Thursday night, which you don't always love because like that's super early. And I'm sure if he had his choice, Josh Allen plays on Monday night and then he's like gets to, the big Monday night comeback. But he does have Monday night players. He's got 2 of them. He's got St. Brown and his kicker Patterson going on Monday night. So he does get the last, he's going to
You don't.
either already be ahead. I got nobody. Everybody's
You
on
got
Sunday for
nobody
me.
and no even options on your bench. No.
Uh, no,
No.
nope. I could play Tampa Bay's defense against Buffalo, and according to last week, that'd be just fine because Buffalo stunk. But I don't think I'm going to roll the dice with Tampa
You
Bay
know,
versus.
I was actually reading an article about how this was going to be Kirk's week, and
Yeah,
it's like, what do you do?
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and like, I mean, that's, I mean, I don't know how you fit him in, but
Well, I mean, I could consider putting him in for Ayuk because of the Sam Darnold situation,
yeah,
but then I just got a whole lot of teams
you
hoping
do,
that Trevor Lawrence and the
yeah,
Jacksonville Jaguars just put it on Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Because how many points are there to go around when you figure that if I had to only pick one Jacksonville player to start, it's Etienne, right?
oh yeah, well, yeah, I would say, yeah, 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 you don't for
Etienne.
sure. So in a perfect world for Rennie, he
He,
figures out whether or not Jones plays or not
yeah.
early, and not like let the game start so he knows whether to put Foreman in. And I mean, Foreman went crazy, but he's the bear. I mean, it'd be tough to play him over Jones if Jones plays, but Jones, he's been frustrating because he plays, but he only plays, he's been hurt. And I mean, do you dare bench Barkley? But I don't know. Yeah, he's got some, who knows what he'll end up doing, but he it might totally matter what he decides at running back, whether you win or not.
So yeah, it'll be interesting, and there are getting some teams here at the top, like I'd say like the top 4 or 5, where it's like another win, and it'd be hard to lose your playoff spot.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
So everybody's kind of like, it's a big week coming in. Anytime that week 8, I feel like there's already some separation that's happening. But when you have a team like Lee's that is right there on the cusp, Lee's got a choice to make: either continue in free fall or turn things around and
yeah.
try to separate himself from those bottom 4. So we'll see what happens. It's always interesting when it's not like we have any control over it. You know what I mean? There's games where it's like, oh, you would swear that the 49ers are just going to manhandle the
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings, and they just can't. Or that you think the Buffalo Bills are just going to freight train over the New England Patriots, and then you're just like, oh, what just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like,
But this is an odd week for me in that, I mean, there's been more years than not that this point in the season, I'm, in the middle somewhere that I'm like hoping for upsets so I can catch some
yeah,
people above me. But this week, obviously, the less upsets, the better for
yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm
You
never going to
need
catch all those
you
guys.
need those. You need anybody who's the bottom half, those bottom
Yeah,
5
to
teams ahead
lose
of
as
you. You
much
need
as
them all to
possible.
lose.
And they're
Yeah,
the same thing about any of the people below them that,
yeah. One more loss from those bottom 4, and it just becomes almost impossible
exactly.
because most of them, not only do they have a game separating them from anywhere, they also have a point differential that
Yeah,
they're having to deal with. And so,
exactly.
um, you know, um, Adam and I were best friends. I don't know if you knew
Yeah,
that or not, Dave.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. We're the bestest of friends. And so we play each other in week 9. So just a little preview
Okay.
that's coming up. And would you believe that in week 9 that Jacksonville, along with a bunch of other teams, are all on bye? Why would that be problematic for me with that Jacksonville's on bye? Well, half
Is
of my team
are the
is on
Rams too?
Jacksonville. I believe so. It's like everyone's on bye.
So you need a week like last week where you had, a whole full lineup of people that could be picked up and started and
Yeah,
played. And
yeah. I mean, Adam
but the
is
problem
going to
is
be.
you can't drop all
No,
those
I
guys
can't
because
drop those
that's
guys.
that's who you got there with,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So I'm really going to have to just like here's what I'm gonna do.
You're gonna punt.
I'm gonna hope to beat Rennie this week,
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna be like, have at it, Adam,
yeah,
and enjoy, because I got nothing. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
the one week where it's like, if Adam's still undefeated and I have a chance to beat him, it's like, I've I've got so many people on bye week 9.
But
It's
if
not
it
even.
means you had to drop like 3 guys that you think you might need the next 2 weeks
No,
after
I'm not
that,
gonna do that. No,
yeah,
no. I'll I mean, I'll put a full lineup up, but I'm not gonna drop, you know, Christian Kirk to try to make a lineup.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I need him.
yeah,
Maybe not this week or next, but if one of
yeah.
those guys gets hurt, I need him. So
I mean,
we'll see.
The way Puka plays, he takes hits. That
Yeah,
boy,
anybody can
he
get hurt.
takes hits, man. He
Yeah.
can every single time I've watched them, he like at least 1 or 2 hits a game. I'm like, he ain't getting up. Oh, he gets up.
Well, and how this podcast is getting a little long, so if you guys gonna tune out and have your go right ahead. Dave and I are just talking. Cup, right?
Yeah.
He came back. First week he came back and didn't really have a big impact. Puka did great. The next week, it was just all Cooper Kupp. just like feeding him the football. And then last week, does Cooper Kupp even exist?
Yeah.
Isn't it so interesting? It's just so weird.
Teams decide to take him away and put 2 on him all the time, and then, but Puka, man, so, I mean, because there's some receivers, it seems like they never get hit hard. They always catch the ball, go out of bounds, something, they're just good at that. And he's not quite, maybe he doesn't like, maybe he loves getting hit. I don't know.
You know who doesn't get hit? Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. He just runs away. Yeah.
Is he, I mean, is he the fastest human being that you've ever seen? I mean, him and McCaffrey, when McCaffrey touches the football, it's just like a blur.
When McCaffrey does that stutter step, like, how do people not tackle him when he does that? But it's like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even change direction. He just stutters and then just runs right by him.
It's like some people just freeze people. You know what I mean? It's just like their reputation of being fast and shifty is just like you get into your own head so much. But like Tyreek, just in open field, see you later. Yeah. It's fun to watch, like some of those guys. That's why it's hard for fantasy, because it's like there's only a handful of guys that you just be like, I want that dude on my team because I just like watching him play. You know what I mean? It's like if we need 12 Tyreek Hill so everybody can have somebody that they're just like, it's like the Jamar Chase game where he had 3 touchdowns. It's like, dude, there ain't nothing better than having your home team have a guy and it's just like, you're going to double team him? Fine. Don't matter. Yeah. He's going to catch the ball. You know what I mean? Like, but that don't happen every game.
The game I went to, the guy's ticket that I used, my brother's friend, my brother took a picture of one of the sweatshirts that said, I'm always effing open. And he's like, oh, I got to have that. And so he bought it for him. And he's got a giant sweatshirt that says that.
Open?
Because I don't know that you can get those nationally. Like, they're not selling them in Nashville, It's kind of a local thing.
Yeah. Oh, that Cincy shirt shop, that's where I went down. I got Katie before the playoffs last year. Well, it was after, like, the better send those refunds, Joe Burrow t-shirt. So I went down and picked up those. They're just screen printing them right there in front of you. They're just like, oh, you want one? Here we go. We'll make it right here. It's like, dude, they're just like those Cincinnati local places that will make things that are like Bengals adjacent, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shirt. Like, the Bengals Pro Shop's not selling that shirt, but like you can go to places and you can get it. Yeah. Yeah. His 7-Eleven thing. Yeah. It's just too much fun. So, all right. Well, guys,
we better
good luck this week. Hopefully we get an upset. I can't wait.
Go over dogs. Dogs, bite.
Well, I want Rennie to pop that champagne this week, but we'll see. You and I have different agendas. I want Lee to win. You want Lee to lose, and that's the beauty of fantasy football.
I really don't want all those things to happen.
You need them
other than I don't always like seeing teams just run away with all the top spots all the time, because if they're that good, even if I by some miracle make the playoffs, I'm going to get crushed in the first round by any one of 4 teams that are way better than mine.
Dave, you're not. Hey, Dave, you're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Side
bet. Right, hey. Yeah. All right, guys. Good luck next week, this week, whatever it is. And there's no buys this week. That was helpful information for me. All right. See ya.
There you go. See ya.